Okay, can you hear me? I can't hear you.
Yes, I'm here. Can you hear
Okay,
me now?
I can.
Okay, great. All right, so we are live. And so until I come, grab this thing.
I'll take care of the time. Whenever you start, I'll do the time. So you don't have to worry about it.
All right, everybody, we're live. Please be aware of that so that if you're speaking, just kind of mute for me in the background, please. And no fault of yours while we had to reconnect, but we are here now. And we have a bunch of folk who have been texting me asking, we can't get on, we can't find the program. So I'm going to go ahead and drop this out there on Facebook for them to be able to see us in just a moment here. All right, so let's do it this way. All right, so this evening, we are grateful for the opportunity to bring to our communities some vitally important information with respect to health, just different aspects of our health. We cannot know too much about this. And surely you would agree, those of you who are watching, that our health is perhaps the greatest, wisest, and best investment any of us could make. We spend a lot of money and a lot of time being concerned about our homes or cars, and rightfully so, because they are major investments. But do you know that without our health functioning optimally, our best homes, our best cars, our finest clothes are in effect null and void? Because what is wealth without health? And so this evening, I'm joined by a panel of experienced and knowledgeable individuals who are going to share with us various aspects and components of what it means to experience optimal health in the times in which we're living. Healthcare costs have gone through the roof. Sickness abounds. COVID is on the rise and marching across the land like it owns the place. And so we can't know too much about how to mitigate against unfortunate circumstances that might just decide to come our way. And this evening, I'm going to introduce our host, and then she will introduce the rest of our panel. This time, I'd like to introduce to you Miss Laura Lee. Laura, thank you so much for joining us and for coordinating this program here this evening. Will you introduce the rest of our guests for our viewers this evening?
Yes, I will. And I'd like to take credit for coordinating this and setting this up, but I have to give credit to Patsy Hayes. And I don't have her picture or anything, but just want Patty to know how much I appreciate her. She contacted Dr. Combs, Dean Combe for me, and then let me follow up on that. So she started the ball rolling with that, and then I was able to contact Sheila and Edith and kind of keep it going. But I really appreciate Patty, so I don't want to take credit for the work that Patty already started in setting up this health meeting. You said something really important, Pastor, and that is how much our health is the most valuable thing that we have. And so as you will see as we go through this presentation and as we hear from our presenters, we will see how important it is. But what I would like for the community to take this opportunity to understand and know that we are there for them. That's what we are. We are presenting some information that is very important to them, but I want them to know that they could come to First Noonan and the Resource Center that Noonan First has set up to we can direct them or try to assist them in any way to get them healthy. So this is something, hopefully this program will get the community aware, help the community become aware that we want to be there and help us assist in any way we can for the health of our community. Now, what we're going to do a couple of things. While hopefully there are other people trying to sign on and come on, I'm going to give them a few minutes, but I need to give out a little bit of instructions. So first of all, you need to get a pencil and piece of paper. Okay, make sure you have something to write down because you will receive information that you will want to lock down and write down and have it at your hand. Each one of our presenters are available for you. We will provide their information. And so you will be able to contact these providers or these presenters after the presentation to get their assistance, each one. So our first presenter will be Edith Bird, and she's going to talk to us on mental health. And then we have Peter and Sheila Raisler, who can direct those of you that want prevention and natural medicine and God's way of healing. And then we have our powerhouse, Dr. Wendy Dean Combs. She is here to talk with us about oncology cancer, which is ravishing. It is taking over our nation. They are available to you for services afterwards. If you need someone for your breast cancer, prostate cancer, COVID, all these things, they are there for you to help you. Okay. But we're going to try to have a little bit of fun. Yes. All this we're talking about is some serious stuff, but I want to have a little fun also. This is what we're going to do. I'm going to present my number. Is this backwards to you guys?
No, you're good.
It's normal. Okay. This is the number. We're going to do, you know how on the radios, they give you an opportunity to win a prize? When most of the time it's like a cruise or it's like $1,000 shopping spree at Walmart. You're not getting that. Okay. What you're going to get is that after each presenter, we'll start with Edith. After she presents, I'm going to ask you a question. If you can text this number with the correct answer, I will Cash App you, Venmo, Zelle. I will send you some money electronically, $10. Not a cruise, not a shopping spree. You will get $10. I mean, that could buy you a sandwich somewhere, right? So write this number down, okay? And be prepared to answer the question. Again, the number, now you know, it's going to come through on the phone, right? So the first one that comes through on the phone with the correct answer, will get the $10. We'll do that after the presentation of the Raislers. We'll do that after the presentation of Dr. Wendy Dean Combs, okay? So there's an opportunity. If you miss it the first time, keep listening. I want you to listen. That's the whole point of this, is for you to listen. Call somebody up right now. Tell them to sign on to this link to, Pastor? Facebook and through YouTube. Sign on. Okay. And you can find it if you go to Noonan First SDA. What do they type in, Pastor?
That's noonandfirstsda.org, and then click on the YouTube channel. We're live on YouTube and on Facebook right now. Okay.
So tell somebody to listen. They can win $10. Okay. So write this number down. And also, again, you're going to want to write down the information of our presenters also. So you want to be able to contact them for your needs. Okay. Let's get started. Okay. I'm so excited. Let's get started with our first presenter. We're going to go with Edith Bird. Edith was born in Columbus, Georgia, but she spent most of her life in California and Utah. She received her Bachelor's of Science degree from the University of Phoenix, then received her master's degree from Argosy University in professional counseling, and is currently the founder and director of Birdhouse. What does Birdhouse offer? They offer case management, mental health services, and Beat the Street youth development services. She is a certified counselor. She's a case manager, a case management specialist. She has services, a service coordinator with Nan McKay. She's been in Who's Who National Executive in 2016. A Professional Leadership Entrepreneur Award from West Central Georgia, NANBPWC Incorporated. And most importantly, she is a proud mother and grandmother, and she is a kidney survivor. An amazing, amazing story. And as we share the love of God through our health, this is a good example. because Edith can give all the praise, the glory, and honor for life and breath right now. She is a kidney survivor. She also plays the piano, and she is the music director at the Noonan First SDA Church. I could go on and on and on, but we need to get to her presentation. Edith, we love you, and we're ready. Go ahead.
All right, thank you for the invitation. I hope and pray that you guys can hear me okay. And one thing she probably left out is when I do my presentations, I sometimes get excited. So all the presenters that are on me, give me a thumbs down if I'm racing. I'd appreciate that. Other thing is I'm an island woman from on my father's side. So you might hear an accent and wonder, where is she from? But we'll deal with that a little bit later. But today, I'm just here to talk a little bit about COVID. But I think we've been bombarded by what we need to do, and we got all the fears and things. So I'm gonna talk a little bit about it, but I want to give you some techniques on wellness for mental health, okay? So with that, I will begin. This year has been a challenging one on multiple fronts. And for many Americans, this challenge has been overwhelming, affecting mental health and understanding the impact of the pandemic on mental health and on those with serious mental illnesses. It's critical to the mission of responding with research that will pave the way for prevention, recovery, and cure. From prior research on disasters and epidemics, we mostly knew what to expect, but in the immediate wake of a traumatic experience, large numbers of affected people report distress, including new and worsening symptoms of depression, anxiety, and insomnia. Most people will recover through that recovery, but it can take some time. A notable fraction of people will develop chronic symptoms severe enough to meet a criteria for mental illness, such as post-traumatic stress disorder or major depressive disorder. People who experience more severe stressors, such as exposure to the dead or dying, and people with more prolonged disruptions are more likely to experience enduring symptoms that would benefit from intervention. We also know that people are more likely to develop chronic or severe reactions if they have one of the or more risk factors, such as poor social supports, financial difficulties, food and housing and instability, or just a history of mental illness. So receiving economic or social supports and using coping strategies can lower these risks and maximize a person's chances for recovery. We know that, like isolation, financial burden, and increased drug use to the pandemic may cause anxiety and depression. But we also think that biological changes, like inflammation, are linked to our behavior and may provide another explanation. Pastor, you can go to the next slide. For how infection diseases can actually affect mental health. We've known for a long time that there is a link between viral infections and mental health. We think of the psychiatric symptoms may be caused by the body's immune response to the virus and other pathogens, triggering the release of cytokines systemically and locally in the areas of the brain involved in depression and other psychiatric conditions. So we have to actually look at that and what our brain is telling us. There is a link between our body fighting off infections and how we actually deal with mental health. It causes a lot of depression. Next one. We know, as you guys can see, that we could be dealing with the mental health pandemic long after COVID-19 is over. So I want to talk about just wellness in general. So how do we keep ourselves healthy as we go through this? Wellness refers to complete mental health rather than just your physical health. So wellness is not only being free of disease, illness, or stress, but also having a purpose in life, being emotionally healthy, taking an active involvement in your work and in your leisure time, having joyful relationships and being happy. Wellness also involves all aspects of your life beyond your physical health. To enjoy fulfilled, and happy lives, it is important to take care of your well-being and to invest in your wellness. So I'm going to talk a little bit about the wellness wheel. A wellness wheel is a model that represents 8 dimensions of wellness: spiritual, emotional, intellectual, physical, social, environmental, financial, and occupational. And all of the 8 dimensions of the wellness wheel are necessary to have a balanced and a happy life. So to experience optimal health, all 8 areas of your well-being must be healthy and tended to. All of the areas are interconnected, and being fulfilled in one area will affect other areas as well. So while the 8 aspects mentioned are core areas of wellness that need to be focused on, wellness wheels can differ from one person to another, depending on your personal needs. So while a wellness wheel serves as a purpose for everyone, making sure that your health values and your needs are met, every person's wellness wheel may differ slightly. But focusing on the 8 dimensions of wellness will help you to improve the quality of your life, your health, and potentially extend your lifespan. So I'm going to go briefly over the 8 wellness. We're going to start with the emotional one. This is simply coping effectively with life and creating satisfying relationships. So emotional wellness involves being able to cope with the difficulties of life, being emotionally aware, and having healthy relationships with yourself and others. People with healthy emotional wellness are confident, they have control over their feelings and behaviors, and have good coping mechanisms for dealing with difficult situations. They build resiliency and allows us to overcome the hurdles of life. So this includes having healthy relationships, being able to ask for help, being resilient, being aware of our feelings, expressing your feelings to the people that you trust, seeking support with upsetting emotions, learning your strengths, working on things that you want to improve, the ability to express a wide range of emotions such as happiness, sadness, anger, joy, fear, frustration, and gratitude. You also will be developing assertiveness and having a positive self-image. The second one, spiritual wellness, is expanding our sense of purpose and meaning in life. Spiritual wellness is about having a sense of purpose that revolves around your personal beliefs and values. Spiritual health involves a connection with nature, self-reflection, meditation, prayer, and more. Being spiritually healthy means you have strong values, a feeling of inner peace, and meaning in life. This would include you making time for activities that enhance your sense of connection to yourself, to nature's, and other. Having a healthy relationship with nature, discovering your values, your principles, and your beliefs. Being part of a like-minded community, helping others who are in need, accepting others for who they are, having a greater purpose, exploring your personal values, searching for a meaning of life, and being aware of your values may differ from others. Religious or otherwise spiritual activities and practices, and taking time for yourself and embracing silence and solitude. The next one just talks about your intellectual awareness or wellness. This is just recognizing creative abilities and finding ways to expand knowledge and skills. Being intellectually healthy can help you with mental growth, which helps with your concentration, your memory, and your critical skills. So this includes using your creative abilities, exercising critical thinking skills, being a lifetime learner, engaging in books and articles or other content that interest you, exploring public and community events, focusing on your skills and learning new ones, being able to develop, analyze, problem solve, and more, and then challenging yourself mentally. Having a positive self-image. Our next one is just about physical awareness. We have to be able to recognize the need for physical activity, diet, sleep, and nutrition. Not Being physically healthy can lead to numerous health problems and diseases. Developing a healthy lifestyle and making healthy choices will improve your overall wellness. Healthy behaviors mean I'm getting a healthy, regular exercise, feeling comfortable with your body, seeing your doctor regularly, keeping your blood pressure at an optimal level, eating healthy food, being aware of how your sleep and stress can affect you, making your own choices about your physical health, stress reduction, developing healthy habits, seeking medical care when appropriate, being responsible with alcohol, cigarettes, and other substances, which we don't do. I'll put that little plug in there. Sleeping enough, taking any medications prescribed by your doctor, understanding how your body works. So we'll talk a little bit about environment. Good health, that's the next slide. By occupying pleasant, stimulating environments that support our well-being. Environmental wellness refers to being in a nurturing and healthy environment, as well as having awareness and respect for the environment around us. The environment around us can greatly impact how you feel. For example, people who live in countries that have a lot of rain and cloudy days might suffer from seasonal depression, which will affect their emotional health, social health, spiritual health, and possibly more. Having a positive environment around you, as well as doing your part to take care of the earth, will help you to feel overall more fulfilled. So this involves making sure that your home is decluttered, spending time outside, using eco-friendly products, recycling, having a peaceful home environment, involvement in the community, being aware of how you might contribute to pollution, and being aware of climate change and how human beings impact the environment. Our next one is financial wellness. Satisfaction with current and future financial situations. This refers to being financially literate, in charge of your finances, and responsible with your money. Struggling with finances and having an unsettled financial situation is a problem that can cause us a lot of stress to you and your family. Staying on top of your finances is important for improving your everyday life. So what does this mean? I maintain a budget and I monitor my spending. We seek out professional financial help if needed. We explore ways to save money. Being financially responsible, paying bills on time, reviewing credit reports and bank statements, and we've got one more, I believe, occupational wellness. This is a personal satisfaction and enrichment derived from one's work. And I always tell people, I said, I don't have a job, I have a career. A career is something I enjoy doing every day. That's the difference. So occupational awareness involves having a fulfilling and enriching occupation, whether that be professional work or academic work. A common stress for many Americans is their jobs and the demands that come with it. Having a work-life balance is extremely important for your overall health and wellness. The first step to achieving this is having a job that you enjoy and are passionate about. It's also important to have a positive work environment that's surrounded by people that support you and your goals. Taking personal satisfaction in your occupation, having a good balance of work and leisure, learning to communicate effectively with other people, developing good work habits and job-related skills, exploring career opportunities or volunteer opportunities that you are passionate about, setting career goals, learning mistakes and moving forward, and challenging societal expectations and fighting against the barriers, whether there are women in the workplace or not. And I have one more, I'm sorry. It's called social wellness, which is very important. We gotta have a sense of connection and belonging and a well-developed support system. We need to feel connected to other people, having a sense of belonging. Feeling isolated, lonely, or disconnected from others can lead to negative physical and mental health outcomes. Healthy relationships we make with family and friends are essential to our well-being, both social, emotional, and spiritual. Social means I take part in a club, a social group, or a volunteer group. Focus on maintaining social connections by keeping in touch and staying connected with others, being able to interact with a diverse group of people, being aware of your impact within the community, being able to draw boundaries with yourself and others, having a strong support network of family, friends, coworkers, and peers, and developing positive relationships, having good communication skills, and be able to reach out to others to support and ask for support when needed. So how does this actually help us? It'll actually help us identify what areas of our life are fulfilled and healthy, and what areas need improvement and attention. For example, you might be financially fulfilled with your work life, but you may be lacking social relationships and socialization. You might need to work better at communication. Identifying this can allow you to prioritize your social needs and work towards balancing your lifestyle. So wellness involves a balance across all aspects of your life. If you put too much time and energy towards certain aspects of your life, others suffer. This is why it is important to make sure that all aspects of your life are healthy and fulfilled. It is also worthwhile to think of specific ways that you can enhance every aspect of your life. So this just gives you a little guide. You don't have to do great and mighty things in each category, but we ought to be focusing on all of them at some point. Even if we just do a little bit, we become a whole person, which leads to better mental health. Thank you. I know that was a lot of information in a short time.
Yes. Thank you so much, Edith. I know you were racing through that, and you gave us a lot of powerful information. And I'm so sorry. You know, we really only have an hour and a half, and I wish you could have given us more, because I know you have a lot more details. And I thank you for trying to consolidate that down to such a quick presentation. I appreciate it. A lot of good information, and it's so interesting because everything seems to connect to our mental. You know, every part, every aspect of our body seems to connect. So the question that our challenge is for the audience now. Ta-da! The question for today. Oh, and also is Pastor, is this the way that people need to ask their questions? Is there a way for them to ask anyone to ask questions? Can they ask Edith anything and then you see it pop up or something, or no?
We wouldn't see it in Zoom, but if they drop it for us in the YouTube chat or the Facebook, one of our members would probably shoot me a text or something like that, and then I pass it on in the chat here in the Zoom.
Oh, okay. So that's just a way so that you can know a way to communicate. You can also text it, your questions to this number also, but your question that you have to answer to get your $10, okay? The question you have to answer. Okay, ready? Miss Edith presented a wonderful presentation, and she talked about a wellness wheel, okay? That was primarily her presentation, was about a wellness wheel. You have to do two things for me. You have to tell me how many dimensions are in her wheel, okay? And then I want you to list just 3 of them. That will win you $10. $10. You have to tell me how many dimensions are in her wellness wheel and give me 3 of them, okay? 3 of the 8. I didn't ask you for 8, just 3, okay? And while you're working on that, we are going to go ahead and present our next presenter. Our next presenter is Peter and Sheila Raisler. I think I primarily see Sheila presenting. Oh, there he is. Okay, Peter's there too. Okay, so they are health evangelists and character development specialists. Okay, they have had an active ministry for over 24 years. Peter, he received his bachelor's and master's in industrial education from Pacific Union College and spent many years as a missionary in the islands of Micronesia and in the islands of Micronesia and I'm sorry, as a teacher and a builder. And he's also taught in high school and colleges in the United States. Now, his partner and wife, Miss Sheila, she also received her bachelor's degree from Brandeis and from Brandeis University, and her master's in education with an emphasis in urban youth development from National University. She was in Who's Who, an American Teachers Award winner. She's taught in high school. She taught chemistry and physics. And she is a former owner of the Kumon Math franchise. And she's got several other adventures and accomplishments. But together, Peter and Sheila teach God's preventive health principles. They also do health empowerment parties. So if you need them for any of this, they can teach vegan cooking classes and seminars and workshops, in private consultations in your home, in your school, in your church, or whatever organization you have. They are the authors of the book called The Second Mile, and they'll tell you how you can get that during their presentation. There it is. Hold it up there. They have it there. The Second Mile. They have a book. They have both finished their hygienic naturopathic medical missionary certification and are constantly learning to be better servants in His Majesty's service. We welcome you, Sheila and Peter. We're so grateful. And at the end of your presentation, I will ask the audience a question about what you're presenting, and also announce the winner, because I hear my phone was ringing. I did get some text messages for yours, Edith. So
Okay.
I'll announce the winner of that in a few minutes. Go ahead, Sheila. You take it away.
Thank you.
Do you need hosting? Are you presenting? Do you need to be hosting as well?
No,
Okay.
I mean, no, we're fine. I just want to let you know that you're looking at a lady that used to be very sick when she was a little girl. And now I have stopped getting all those colds and flus because I do hydrotherapy, hot and cold showers every day. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, hot and cold showers every day. And that's one of the things I'm going to share with you as far as getting over some of these colds and flus that might come your way. It's very important that we start thinking about prevention. You know, we might come down with something major, but it's best that you do use God's methods. Well, our ministry is a supportive ministry of the church, and we are here to just share with you how He uses His health laws as a shield, just like He uses the 10 Commandments as a shield to take care of us. We want to remind you that He said that if you diligently follow what He tells you to do, then He will keep you protected and keep all the diseases that the Egyptians or the world gets from us. And that's in Exodus 15:26. And then if you pray and just call upon His name, He can recover you. He can save you. So when you are having a problem, you have to talk to God about it. Whether or not is you got bit by ants or you came down with cancer, He is ready to give you solutions to everything. It doesn't make sense to try to solve your problem if you are not going to do the things that He asks us to do. Now, you know, He has 8 simple laws, and we sometimes call them health doctors, that you can follow, and those will take care of you. But if you happen to come down with some, one of the major issues now is the flu, there's some serious things that you should be doing before, but you can start doing right away. And the first thing I always suggest to everyone that comes to us, if you have a problem, the first thing you want to do is to clean your colon. Just clean the colon. I know that's why they're suggesting, because the colon harbors a lot of parasites. Remember our parents used to tell us to take the castor oil? That castor oil was to flush out a lot of parasites and toxins, because as little children, we put our hands in so many different things. and we get lots of diseases. So I suggest you clean your colon first. And that's one of the main things that have been suggested. I guess that's why they're using ivermectin to help with this COVID problem. But we have been carrying a colon cleanser for years. And it's a parasite cleanse, and it has wormwood and clove in it. Those are basic things that can kill some parasites. Also, eating pumpkin seeds. It's good for men's prostates, but it's also very good to kill some parasites. Then you need a lot of vitamin C. Vitamin C, you can get it from even eating a ripe pepper. That's where the vitamin C is mostly concentrated in the yellow and the red peppers. But take like 2,000 or more concentrated amount of vitamin C. This will help.
I think she froze.
Yes, Sister Sheila is frozen. And she's still frozen. Can you bring on someone else in the meanwhile?
Well, what we can do is go ahead and share our winners from the question from Miss Edith. We had a few people come on in. I actually had 2 people come in at 4:44. And so since they both came in, I was only planning to give out 3 prizes, but I think I'm gonna have to give out 4 because I had 2 people come in. They are, if you have the number ending in 0002, you are a winner. Woo, woo, $10 winner for 0002. The number begins, well, I won't tell all your number because we're gonna keep it private, but that's your ending number, 0002. And you are a winner. And so what you have to do now is text me your, whichever, I have almost all the electronic ways of payment, Apple Pay and Venmo and Cash App and Zelle. So you just text me the way you would like to receive your winnings, okay? On the same number that you text your answers to that you won. Second winner for and let me go back and give the answers that 0002 gave. They said 8 dimensions. They got that part right. And then they said social, emotional, and financial. Those are the ones that stood out, okay, for them. And then the second person that also texted at 4:44, they also said 8 dimensions. And then they listed more. They listed emotional, they didn't. It was emotional wellness, intellectual wellness, and social wellness. That's what they listed. So very, very good job. You are a winner also. That's, that was the number ending in 8949. Whoever texts me whose number ends in 8949, you are also a winner, a $10 winner. Cash App, Venmo, Apple Pay, Zelle, any of those ways I can send it. Just text you also, 8949. Also text me how you would like to receive your $10 winning. Okay, I don't see the Raislers back again. So we may have to go ahead and jump on to Dr. Dean Combe. I will go ahead and do her presentation or her introduction. I'm so excited to have her and her willingness to say yes, to participate. It is truly a blessing to have the willing heart of a physician such as she is. She is a powerhouse. Dr. Wendy Dean Combe holds dual degrees as an MD and a PhD. Hallelujah. She completed her residency from the University of Illinois College of Medicine. Then she completed her fellowship in medical oncology at MD Anderson Cancer Center in Houston. There, she distinguished herself as a physician scientist with the focus on breast cancer, especially in minority women. She has also been an investigator in over 20 clinical trials, mostly in the area of breast cancer. She is board certified in both medical oncology and internal medicine. And I wanted to say all that to say, before I tell you the first part of it, that she kind of jokes around and says that her she kind of thinks her parents brainwashed her at an early age in becoming a doctor. But then something very, very tragic happened in her life. She cemented her decision to become a doctor after her 24-year-old brother was diagnosed with colon cancer. He died 8 months later. This event led Dr. Dean Combe to focus on becoming a physician scientist in oncology. Dr. Dean Combe has proven a desire to provide compassionate care to the underdeserved, both here and internationally, having participated in numerous medical missions in many developing African and Caribbean countries. Her driving philosophy is that a doctor's role, and this is beautiful, a doctor's role is to provide quality care for everyone in an empathetic and compassionate manner, and feels one of the greatest treatment we can offer cancer patients is the knowledge that they don't have to go through this alone. Amen. Dr. Dean Combe, currently she serves patients at the Piedmont Noonan Oncology in Noonan, Georgia. Again, I want to make sure you understand she's close by and she is available to help anyone that needs her services. And so we want to make sure that we get that information out to you. We will try to present that information. Pastor, maybe you can, I text you her card. Maybe you can screen share that sometime during her presentation. And then we will have, she has a flyer that she's going to have available to us that I can email out to you. I'm going to print them out and try to provide them around in our church so that people know, sometimes you end up going to somebody, you have no idea who they are. You've never met them, but for a serious physical illness. So by having Dr. Dean available so close to us, we will definitely want to encourage you to use her services. I would like to go ahead and let Sister Raisler go ahead and finish. I'm sorry we lost you, Sister Raisler. We just wanted to go ahead and move our time on and introduce Dr. Dean Combe, but we totally lost your connection. So let's go ahead and let you finish up, and then we'll jump back over to Dr. Combe. Can't hear you now. You're muted. Are you muted?
Yes, I was. Don't know what happened there, but just want to remind you to take your vitamin C, your zinc, about 75 milligrams or more to 150. Some of these recommendations come from different doctors or nurses. Get your quercetin, about 500 milligrams. That's needed so that the zinc can get into your system. Echinacea, of course, is good. Vitamin A. We also need the vitamin D, and some of us are not getting enough vitamin D from the sun, so you might have to get a supplement. But always remember that some of these supplements, if you're vegan, some of the supplements are coming from lamb skin. So you might want to check where your vitamin D is coming from. There is a moss that is grown on the side of a tree that you can get your natural vitamin D, and the special company sells the vegan vitamin D. Or you can spend your 30 with darker skin individuals, about 30 plus minutes outside doing some gardening and walking, you'll get your vitamin D. We want you to remember that I want to encourage y'all to lose a little weight, just a little extra, so that, there'll be less space in there for the free radicals to roam around and give you any kind of disease, or for the virus or the bacteria, whether or not it's a virus or bacteria, to invade. And if you want to join our 6-week weight loss program, we will love to have you. And it is a simple program, just following God's methods. One of the first things we always do is obviously clean out your colon. Sometimes you can lose a whole bunch of weight just by cleaning that colon out. This is very important for sickness. The hydrotherapy, I wanted to mention to you how you do that. 3 minutes hot, 30 seconds cold, and then do 3 minutes hot again, 30 seconds cold, 3 minutes hot one more time, and 30 seconds cold. And you could do your little scream, your little Indian dance while you're under the cold, because it's going to be cold. But you are building your white blood cells, and you are increasing that protection so that you don't catch a cold. For, I think it was, well, many years when I started doing that, I just do one cycle every morning, every time I take a shower, morning or evening, and I don't catch anything. I mean, I believe that keeps my white blood cells high. Now, one of the reasons why we would also get sick is when we're run down, tired. And Edith talked about that, but you need to get your sleep. Make sure you get into bed early. Between 9 and 10 is the best time, and make sure that that window is open. Now, if you can't don't like the hot and cold shower, because some of us are a little, it's like doing double Dutch. You want to go in under the cold, but you don't want to go under the cold. So just put your foot in nice hot water, a bucket of hot water, as warm as you can handle it, with a cold rag on your head for about 20 minutes, and then throw some ice cold water on your feet when you get out, and dry off and go to bed for about 30 to 60 minutes. That would really build your immune system high up. There are lots of remedies that I can recommend to help you with your immune system. And one of them is just simply boiling the skin. And when you peel these skins, you include the white on them. Grapefruit, 2 oranges, a lemon, 2 cloves of garlic, and half an onion. That's called a natural penicillin. Just boil those, and and then when you finish, you put a little cayenne pepper in there, and your body is going to be very happy. This is if you're trying to break up a cold or, fight off a flu. One of the old time remedies, believe it or not, is to just boil some pine needle leaves and drink the tea. I had a friend who didn't have a chance to get to boiling his pine needle leaves, when he took them and he started chewing them, and he felt much better in a short period of time. We have developed a natural oil that you can put under your feet, or you can spray in the house, that would, less than 5 minutes, you will feel a total difference. And we've proven that over and over again, because the oils move into the body very quickly. Oils like oregano and eucalyptus and peppermint. So we have about 8 of them that we put together. And if you put it under your feet where the biggest pores are, within 2 or 3 minutes, within 2 or 3 minutes, they're inside the body. So that's important to know. One of the things my mom does, my mom is 80, going to be 82. She don't like me to talk about her age, but she still gardens. She has no health problems, no medication in the house. And she always boils and takes garlic, onion, ginger. And now she has a habit of putting a tablespoon of Italian seasoning in the mix while she's boiling it, because it has about 6 herbs in there. And this gives you your natural sulfur that the body needs. It's a natural antibiotic. So she doesn't have any issues. She doesn't have any high blood pressure. Her pressure did go up once when she went to the dentist, and I guess she was nervous. They did not want to pull her tooth because her pressure was up. So guess what she did? She went straight to the pharmacy and got herself some cayenne pepper capsules. It'll take care of your blood pressure. It'll lower your blood pressure. It is something that you should always have around. Someone's having a heart attack, you need to open some of those capsules and put it in some water and have them drink it so you can open up the blood vessels. I do that if I'm having a slight headache. I just put a pinch or 2 in some water, and before you know it, it's gone in less than 15 minutes. I've cut myself a couple of times while I was cooking, and I sprinkled the cayenne pepper in the cut, and it stopped bleeding right away. So it's something that you want to keep around the house, cayenne pepper. One of the other things that have been very good for any kind of flu, whether or not this is or even if you got poisoned by some chemical or bacteria, is charcoal. Charcoal is very important. We keep some in the car and also in our home. It has 1 teaspoon has a surface area of maybe 2 football fields. It will grab hold of anything that's in your body that shouldn't be there. So if you're feeling funny, just go ahead and take about a big tablespoon of charcoal and put it in some water, 8 ounces of water, stir it up, drink it down, and then fill the glass with another 8 ounces of water and get the residue and drink that down. It will pull gas out your system. It will just make you feel better if you have a snake bite. Or we met a lady, she saw in the program and she had a brown recluse spider bite. It's very huge. And they couldn't do anything with it. And we introduced to her the charcoal. Matter of fact, we had her drink some while we talked and put some on her wound, and the pain was gone in 15 minutes. She had stopped having all kinds of pain. 2 weeks later, she called and said she was having a scab. So it worked. It pulled those toxins from the brown recluse spider. So that's something you need to keep in the home. Onion poultice is a good thing. Some children or some adults have a lot of congestion in the chest. If you chop up some onion in as small as you can. Some of us like to bake little pieces of the onion, and for 20 minutes in the oven, or some of us put it in the blender for a quick minute. But the key is to get the onion on your chest, wrap it in paper towel or thin cloth like a pillowcase. Put it on your chest and put cling on it, plastic cling, and go to bed, and you will be surprised how that congestion is going to be released or gone. We want to be breathing well if we're sick. So lay on our chest in the prone position so that you can free up your lungs to get more expansion. And have a friend go and beat on your lungs, the back of you, so you can, if there's anything that's stuck inside there, it can just release that beating. And I've experienced all of these, so I know they work, so they really, really work. I want to encourage you to, now in our book, we put this book together because we have a very sweet audience when we had our television program in the Noonan, Georgia area. And lots of older people called us for help. And when I was putting this together, the Lord just kept having them in the back of my mind. So I really wanted very simple, very easy for them to understand. And so that's why it was put together with that in mind, so that all of us can understand. Plus, if you're having cancers or any kind of diseases, you don't want to keep putting toxins in your system. So we have recipes that are so basic and still taste good. There are no chemicals in them. You can make your own ketchup, your own mayonnaise, your own mustard, all the things the condiments that you like, your own cheeses, just from some white potato, you make your own cheese. We show you how to put all those things together, how to eat the brown rice, which is much healthier than any other rice, 15 times more nutritious. You can bake your brown rice, or you can just dexterize it. That means fry it for a little bit, dry fry, and then put it in dry fried, and then put the water with it and cook it for about an hour and 15 minutes. And you cook a lot of brown rice at one time because most of us do not like to wait for our food. So you cook a lot of it and then put it away in the freezer in baggies. That way you always have it at your disposal. One of my favorite things to cook, and that's on page 20 in my book, is oven fries. Very easy. You just cut up your potatoes like you regularly make French fries. Sometimes I like to throw some vegetables in there like zucchini and sweet potato. And you pour a little oil. And sometimes you don't have to have water. You don't have to have oil. You can just wet the potatoes and just put your seasonings. Any kind of seasoning that you like, onion powder, garlic powder, and you can put your salt and just bake it on 400 for about 20 minutes. Then another nice recipe, something we like to do and all of us probably make smoothies. My key thing with my smoothies is frozen bananas and a half a teaspoon of natural peanut butter, you'll never buy ice cream again. Or you'll never buy a milkshake again, because you can put frozen strawberries, pineapple, carob, any flavor, but that banana texture with a little bit of cream, like coconut milk or almond milk. But that little bit of natural peanut butter really, really tops it off. So I want to suggest that you do that. And if you want a smoothie for breakfast, we eat our vegetables in the morning and our fruit in the afternoon. Just put any kind of green or any salad product in a blender and put a little pinch of stevia and a little pinch of salt and pineapple juice. You would enjoy having a good, nutritious food. Some of us don't have enough teeth to chew all those vegetables, but you can put them live right there in that blender. And if you're diabetic, add a sweet potato, a boiled sweet potato with it, and you have a nice meal, put a little spices, and you have nice hot live soup. The key is to follow God's plan. He'll bless you once you're trying, just like we try to keep the commandments, we need to try to keep his laws. It's just as sacred because they keep our minds clear so we can hear him. So the 8 laws are very important. They're spelled out very easy in this book. Our book can be used in book clubs with ladies trying to lose weight together, or anything that if you want to help evangelize in the community, because it has a lot of Bible questions in here. We just love the fact that we put sanctuary information in here, all kinds of sweet things. So the website, I guess Laura Lee is going to put it on, but thesecondmile.net, you can get our book there, and you can even get it in as an ebook. So you can get the hard copy from us, or you can get an ebook. But we really want to encourage you, if you have any little issues with your weight or your health, please give us a call. And I just want to give you one little example. There was a gentleman who could not stop going to the restroom. Everything he ate came right out. Doctors could not help him. One of the members in Noonan at another church, one of the First Aid churches, called us and told us about it. And my wife called. We told him what to do. Charcoal, carob, problem stopped. God has methods, and we need to seek them out. If we don't have, we should all have friends that can tell us who to call or give us secrets. That's how Friends for Better Health was born. That's the name of our ministry. Because I was so happy. I said, Lord, it's so nice to have friends for better health, because we were sharing things with each other. And so don't keep anything to yourself. God wants you to share. We're born to share, to give, to help, and to be a blessing to everyone.
Amen. Thank you so much. Pastor Ennis, if you can look at the email and put up that book, The Second Mile, and or if you can't do that, Sheila, people can just find it by going to is it The Second Mile, or is it THE in there? Okay.
Thesecondmile.net,
right?
Yeah. And if you want to, you can always go on betterhealthmovement.com, because this is a better health. That's what we're about. Betterhealthmovement.com.
Betterhealthmovement.com. Amen. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Okay, real quick, because we got to get to Dr. Combe real quick now. So what we want to do is the question that you're going to answer from Sister Raisler's presentation. She talked about helping yourself get through the flu naturally. She talked about getting through the flu naturally. You need to text me 4 ways you can do that. 4 ways you can get through the flu naturally, quickly, because there's some people fast on that trigger on that texting. They can text pretty fast. So you need to be the first person to text me 4, count them, 4 natural remedies that Sheila Raisler talked about that will help you get over the flu. Let's hurry up. We're waiting for Dr. Combe. I love you, Sheila. I'm all about natural medicine, number 1, but I've been a nurse anesthetist for over 25 years, so I'm into modern medicine also, which Dr. Combe is going to talk to us about. So let's go, Dr. Dean. Let's do it. Can't hear you.
Hi,
There
good
you go.
afternoon, everyone. I first off want to just thank uh, Reverend Dr. Inez and all of the team, especially Laurie, putting together this program. You know, as Reverend Dr. Inez said earlier, it is so important that, the church community, especially the African American community, has always served as a source of education and information and political movement. And it's one of the best ways that we are able to educate our African American population is through the church forum. So I appreciate so much you all having the foresight to conduct these kind of programs, because often it's us hearing from other people that look like us, that share our experiences, that we can make an impact. And so I really appreciate the opportunity to participate. I'm from Louisiana, and I'm actually sitting in a sanctuary here in Louisiana, in Lake Charles, Louisiana, which most of you know have probably been hit by several hurricanes back to back over the last 2 years. And so I was doing a breast cancer program here today, but I did not want to miss the opportunity to present to you all. So thank you for being patient and working around the schedule. So I know we're kind of stretched for time right now, but I'm going to talk first about breast cancer screening, because this is Breast Cancer Awareness Month. And I just want to thank all of the survivors. And when I think about survivors, it's not just the people who have had breast cancer treatment and have gotten through it. I'm talking about the survivors who are in the midst of the treatment, including those patients who are stage 4. People often don't think about them as being survivors, but the fact that you're able to get up every day and enter the fight every day is such an amazing thing. And so I just wanted to say kudos to those women who have experienced breast cancer across the spectrum. And I will keep you all in my prayers, and I pray, God's blessings on you and your lives. But this is a month that we take the time to remember those who are in the midst of the battle, but also remembering those who lost their lives in the battle. But so I think this is an important time for us to mention that. So I'm going to kind of share my screen. I know here at the sanctuary that we're having some problems in the offices with the internet. So I'm here. I'm going to just share a few things from my screen because they couldn't get my PowerPoint presentation together. So this being Breast Cancer Awareness Month, I want to talk to you about breast cancer screening. Let me get back so I can share my screen with you. Now, I know that even for myself being a doctor, we have always had, let me see.
All right, I just gave you co-host.
Oh, okay. Let me try that again then. It gets very confusing for a while. Okay, I'm not seeing. Oh, here is the allow. Okay, let's try that again. Okay, let me go find my screens that I want to share. It's not actually letting me. Are you guys able to see this?
No, we're not seeing what you're sharing at this time.
Well, we might have to forgo it. Choose what to share. And I'm trying to. The only thing that is allowing, let me see. Okay, I think I might have found it. Yes. So I know even for myself as a cancer provider, are you guys able to see this screen now?
Yes.
Even for me, we've had over the last several years differences between two different entities, one of them from the government, the U.S. Task Force, as well as the American Cancer Society, and even the surgical groups have their own recommendation about when women should get screened for breast cancer. And so I'm going to try to kind of simplify that and use some and explain some terminology that you may see. So the American Cancer Society has been, their guidelines are a little bit more aggressive with regard to when we should get breast cancer screening and also how often we should get it. So it's kind of a combination of what they have had in the past and what the U.S. Task Force has recommended. And there is two terminologies that I think is important for us to understand. One of them is what it means to be an average risk person for developing a breast cancer, and what it means to be a high risk person for development of breast cancer, because your screening guidelines can be different. So in general, for the average risk person, and that means a person who doesn't have a personal history of breast cancer themselves, does not have a first degree relative, means a parent, a sibling, or a child with breast cancer, or have a known genetic mutation such as the BRCA1 or BRCA2 in the family. That's an average risk person. And so the ACS recommendations, which is what I follow, is that starting at the age of 40 to 44, women have the option to start screening with their mammogram every year. So even though the current task force recommendation starts at the age of 50, the American Cancer Society still recommends 40. And no matter what insurance you have, they will still let you as the woman decide. So at the age of 40, all women should be going in to see their primary provider or their gynecologist and asking about breast cancer screening and make some decisions about when they want to start. So if you want to follow the old guidelines, you are absolutely able to do so, and your insurance should cover that, because we're leaving that up to a woman's choice. So starting at the age of 40 to 44, women should start discussing options for screening, and you can have a mammogram every year. The guidelines are very clear in every aspect that you look at, that starting at the age of 45 to 54, all women should get a mammogram every year. That's the current guidelines that everybody accepts. And then starting at the age of 55 and older, then this is where the recommendations is that you can switch to going with a mammogram every 2 years. But understand that if you decide that you want to continue with an annual mammogram, then you can. And then past the age of 74, when we get to the age of 75, then women, currently recommendation is at the age of 74, women can stop their screening. But if you're a woman at the age of 75 and the life expectancy is greater or equal to 10 years, then we recommend that you can still make a decision to continue your screening. So we now have developed programs where women have a choice and they get to make a decision about what is right for them individually. Now, one of the caveats that I recommend to that is that I do recommend that women starting at the age of 40, especially if you're an African-American woman, that you do get mammograms every year. And the reason why I make that recommendation, because studies have shown that African-American women are diagnosed with breast cancer at almost 10 years younger age than their Caucasian counterpart. So their average age is about 54, 55. So around 44, 45 is when we're getting impacted and hit hard with breast cancer. And so therefore, that's why I recommend African-American women should definitely consider starting getting annual mammograms at the age of 40. The other reason is that when we get breast cancer, we tend to get a more aggressive course, especially those that are the triple negative breast cancer that commonly will affect young African-American women around the average age of 45. And for that particular cancer, the only treatment option we really have is chemotherapy. There is now the approval of some additional medicines such as immunotherapy, but the mainstay of your treatment, if you have an early stage triple negative breast cancer, is chemotherapy. And oftentimes this is a more aggressive cancer. So we tend to develop recurrence often within the first 2 years after finishing your treatment. And by that point, it's usually comes back as a stage 4, which means at that point it's incurable. So because of the aggressive nature and the fact that we get diagnosed at a younger age, I recommend African-American women start their screening at the age of 40. As most of you know, although African-American women are diagnosed in the US with breast cancer at a lower incidence than their Caucasian counterpart, we die more frequently. And that is due to a myriad of reasons, definitely in the South, along the Black Belt area, lack of access to care. But there also is probably biological and socioeconomic factors that play a role. And that's part of the research that I do. And so we need to be more diligent because we're the ones that are dying more frequently. The other thing, we now have to talk about, and that I do. That's part of our guidelines, is that in order for a woman, once you've been diagnosed with breast cancer, in order for you to have the optimal results from your breast cancer treatment, is that there's some lifestyle modifications that come into play. So I appreciate the recommendations that the other speakers have talked about today. Definitely, we now know that women who are overweight, especially if you're postmenopausal, you have a worse outcome if you are obese and have hormone positive breast cancer. So our recommendations have to include, so when I sit down and talk to the women, when they're maybe through with all their surgery and their radiation and chemotherapy, and we sit down and we put them on a hormone blocking pill, I talk to them about optimal outcomes from their breast cancer, because we know that a sedentary lifestyle, which means a lifestyle when you don't exercise at least 150 minutes a week, so 30 minutes 3 times a week, has an impact on your outcome. If you are obese, as I said, in postmenopausal women with hormone positive breast cancer, you can have a worse survival from your breast cancer just because you're obese, because even though your ovaries are not functioning and you're taking the hormone blocking pill, the biggest place that you are now making hormones is in your fat cells. So it makes a difference in your outcome. We see that we used to tell people drinking 2 glasses of wine a day was safe and okay and good for your heart and your bone. But now we know it can impact your outcome from breast cancer and also increase your risk of developing breast cancer, as obesity does. And so now a woman who drinks more than seven or more alcoholic beverages a week, she has a worse outcome from her breast cancer and an increased risk of developing breast cancer. We talk about not only the alcohol, but cigarette smoking increases your risk for a myriad of different cancers. So that includes breast cancer. So doing that can make a difference, not only in helping to prevent or lower your risk of breast cancer, but also in helping your survival once you've been diagnosed, and to make sure you have the optimal outcome that you want. Now, one of the things that I talk about, so we know the guidelines and people see these things, but the question becomes, why aren't people following through? And there's a number of reasons, because one of the biggest things that we're seeing that impacts the development of breast cancer has to do with family history. Most people are familiar with the BRCA1 and the BRCA2 mutations that are associated with increased risk of breast cancer, ovarian cancer, but it's not just those 2 cancers. It increases the risk of pancreatic cancer, melanoma, prostate cancer, because the BRCA1 and BRCA2 genes are associated with DNA repair. Cancer occurs because of mutation in DNA. And so in that regard, knowing your family history is now one of the biggest things that we know contributes to the development increased risk of breast cancer. You know, oftentimes in African-American communities, especially in the old days, that, you know, people didn't talk about those kind of things. You know, it was kept undercover. They really didn't want to, think about that, this person had cancer or something like that. But now it is so crucial that we know that information, because now we don't just look at the BRCA1 and BRCA2. We now look at the family history, because if there's a strong family history, especially a first-degree relative like a parent or a child or a sibling, then the rest of the people in that family are also at increased risk, and genetic testing needs to occur. This is true for not only women, but also for men. So men, if you have a sibling or a mother that has, or a child that has breast cancer, you are also at increased risk of developing breast cancer. It is not just a woman's disease. And then I'd like to talk a little bit about why we have the hesitancy as women of getting the screening, because that is one of the contributors that we know related to why we have worse outcome. One of the major reasons that, in addition to dealing with access to care, is that oftentimes, even though we know we need a mammogram, we don't go. And that's because as women and being the caregivers, we tend to take care of everybody else but ourselves. We tend not to make ourselves a priority. We got to take care of the kids. We got to take care of the husband. We got to take care of our parents. We got to take care of our coworkers. We got to take care of our church members. And I remind women that there's a reason why God has put us as the nurturer of the family. There's a reason. But the only way we can do all those things that God set us here to do is if we take care of ourselves. So I tell women, pick a day. Let it be maybe your birthday. Pick one day during the year that it is going to be me day. I am going to focus on taking care of me, because if I take care of me, I can take care of them. So I'm going to go get my nails done. I'm going to go get my hair done. I'm going to go get my mammogram. I'm going to go get my pap smear if it's time. But I'm going to go get my annual physical. But I'm going to take care of me, because I need to do that in order to be able to fulfill the job has for me as the woman in my community, to take care of all those other people that he has for me to do. So we have to value ourselves. We have to think about ourselves, not that you're being selfish, but that you're doing what you need to do to accomplish the goal that God has set for you to do. So women, I want you to pick a day a year that is going to be a me day, so that you can take care of yourself. And oftentimes me and my sisters will kind of try to do something together. So we help each other, because one of the great things about doing these programs, especially when they're church sponsored, it reminds us that we are our sisters' keepers. Sometimes I, as a doctor, may come into a community and they say, oh, she's just another doctor coming in. But if you're sitting to this person on the pew, you have more influence with that person. If you go to the grocery store, you have more influence on that person, because they know you're from their community. They trust you. You went to high school together. So you can have influence in your community that I may never have, because they just see me as a medical doctor. So this is one of the greatest ways that we can actually help to be our brother and our sister's keepers. So I'm hoping today I'm imparting some knowledge to you about what we can do in those situations. Now, even though the study now, you don't hear people talking a lot about self-breast exam and also clinical breast exam, which is by a medical provider, I still recommend it for African-American women. The reason why is that oftentimes, because by the time the cancer gets to the point that you can see something on a mammogram or you can feel something, it has been there for years. It didn't just pop up. It just popped up enough so that you can feel it, or they can see calcification on the mammogram. But it's been there developing for years. And so oftentimes, especially since we get diagnosed at an earlier age, oftentimes before some of the breast cancer guidelines recommend we start screening, like at 50 with the task force, then we need to be checking to make sure that we're familiar with what's normal for us. Yeah, you may have lumpy, bumpy breasts like I do, but if you do it every month, you get used to what's normal for you and what's lumpy and bumpy for you. So what I tell my women, if you're having menstrual cycles, then the best time to do it is a week after your cycle, because that's when your hormone levels are low, and that's when they're going to be less lumpy and bumpy. If you are a postmenopausal woman because of surgery, or you have your ovaries but you don't have your uterus, so you're not sure when your cycle is there, then one of the best ways that you can check is just pick a day. I tell my older women who are getting their Social Security check and all that, is if it's the first or the third, whichever one you're getting, pick that day every month. And I'm going to pick that day that every month I'm going to check, because you have that reminder when that check comes in the mail or into your checking account, that's the day you're going to pick. But it's so important, because we as African-American women are dying more frequently. My little town of Lafayette, Louisiana, 3 years ago was the #1 place in the whole United States per capita of women dying of breast cancer. How can a little town in Louisiana be the #1 place in the whole United States? It's #2 the last 2 years. So it's still up there. It's because we often present at stage 3, stage 4. And the important thing to know is that cure from breast cancer is dependent upon the stage at which you're diagnosed. That's why screening saves lives. The earlier you get screened and you find the cancer, the more chance you have of a cure. A stage 0 breast cancer, 5-year cure rate is 100%. A stage 1 breast cancer, 5-year cure rate is around 98%. A stage 2 breast cancer, 5-year cure rate is about 87%. A stage 3 5-year breast cancer cure rate is around 78. A stage 4 5-year breast cancer is 20%. That's why early detection and screening save lives. So I'm hoping that this information helps you all. So I want to focus a little bit more on some additional screening, and this will be part of the handout that Miss Lee will be able to send to you all. And I'm going to try to share that back with you guys. Another screen. And I'm going to just go through this one really quickly. Let's see if this is it. Okay. All right, thank you. All right, so this is, they're telling me they're going to come back and let me out because we're running a little bit later. This is the screening recommendations in general for all ages of what you should be looking at. So I know we're focusing on breast, but starting at the age of 25 to 39, women should start screening. So cervical cancer screening should start at the age of 25. At the age of 40 to 49, that's when we talked about start having breast cancer screening. People continuing with cervical cancer screening. If you have a cervix, colorectal screening. One of the big deals that happened this year is that colorectal screening does not start at 50 anymore. It starts at the age of 45. The reason why? More and more young people are being diagnosed with colorectal cancer, probably because of diet and environment. But guess who's the group of people who are dying at alarming rates from colorectal cancer? Young African-American men. So that's something that all of us need to do. And one of the things to remember is that colorectal cancer is a preventable cancer. No one should have to die of colorectal cancer in the United States. There are several different screening modalities that you can have, not just a colonoscopy, but there's several other ones if you're not necessarily interested, but you should start your screening at the age of 45. It's important that we talk to our young men about this as well. It's not just the women, but it's the men as well. And the other thing is prostate cancer. African-American men, unlike women with breast cancer, are diagnosed more frequently with prostate cancer, and they die at almost 3 times the rate of their Caucasian counterpart for prostate cancer. So prostate cancer, like breast cancer, the recommendations for screening has changed over the years. But what we know is that men, so what happens now is called shared decision making. That means at the age of 45, that African-American men should go to their doctor and talk about, okay, what do you think about me getting prostate cancer screening with a PSA or a digital rectal exam or both of them, and the findings, if you decide to go that route, then the findings based upon the PSA will determine if you need to have it done in 6 months, have it done in a year, have it done in 2 years. But that conversation should start at the age of 45. You should not let that pass without you having that conversation. And in general, I tend to tell men just to start with the PSA at 45. But again, it should be a shared decision maker. There's not a firm recommendation of a PSA, but a firm recommendation. That's when the conversation should start. And then 50 plus, those screening breast cancer, cervical cancer, colorectal cancer should continue, and prostate cancer. One of the things that should also continue is that people starting at the age of 50, whether you're a current smoker or a former smoker of a 30-pack year history, you should get screened for lung cancer. And this does not happen a lot. And we need to make sure we are talking about this, because you see all the great commercial about people living longer with lung cancer. That's because people are getting screened. We have some new great medicine, but we have to get screened. So the guidelines is based upon you having a 30-pack year history. That means if you smoke 1 pack per day for 30 years, 1 times 30 gives 30. That's how you get the 30-pack year history. And the screening is with a low-dose CT scan, not a chest X-ray, a low-dose CT scan. That is the screening test that is approved and should be done for all people who are former smoker or who are current smoker. So you need to talk to your primary care provider about that. So that's my information on screening tests. Now, the last thing I want to talk to you guys about is the pandemic. And COVID has really had an impact on our lives for the last 2 years. We have lost a lot of people to COVID. And in the beginning, it was something that I, looked at and we thought about and I said, we're having this pandemic and we don't know a lot about the coronavirus. And so, we did the best we could to try to figure things out. But now we know a lot more than we used to know. And what has been so disheartening as a doctor in the hospital is that we are now experiencing a fourth wave. This fourth wave should not have happened. We should not be in the midst of a fourth wave. All the people that have died during this fourth wave, most of those could have been prevented. And our only way out of this pandemic is through vaccination. What's been disheartening is the misinformation that people are buying into. And so, and it's, pray for me, because I have to I have to work at being long suffering, be patient in the midst of it, because we're seeing death every day. And it's hard because it didn't have to be. So when we first got hit, it happened. When we got the second wave, we knew it was going to happen. The third wave, we were still kind of getting there with the vaccine, but there's no reason we should be experiencing a fourth wave. The challenge that we have is that about 20% of the US population have just determined that they are not going to get vaccinated. And I try to patiently listen to the reasons why people have this view and idea and express this idea about why they are hesitant. And I was very understanding about the hesitancy early on, because we didn't know a lot. People say, we got this vaccine, they made it really fast, they have a new technology, I want to wait a while. Normal hesitancy in the beginning was perfectly reasonable. So a little bit about it. mRNA, which the M stands for messenger RNA, technology has been there for over 2 decades, over 20 years. That technology is not new. Coronavirus has existed for decades. It's not new. And in fact, our NIH, even when President Obama was in office, was working on coronavirus and using mRNA technology to come up with a vaccine faster if we ever needed it. So that technology existed. We just never used it for vaccinations because we never had a need for new vaccinations. So that's why we were able to use that technology. So it's not a new technology. We've actually used that technology to try to help develop newer drugs and things, other treatments. So the technology was not new. It was just new with us using it to make a vaccine. So that should take care of that myth. The other one is that we did it too fast. We didn't follow all the clinical trial guidelines and all of that. That's not true. It's not true. The reason why it got done so fast, because we didn't depend on just our US NIH to make it. Companies like Pfizer and J&J and all of them, they stopped doing other work to make new drugs for my cancer patients to focus on developing vaccines, because we were losing people so fast and it was a global pandemic. So we didn't wait for the slow machinery of the government to do its thing. We had all these big drug companies that do nothing but make new drugs, focus on making a vaccine to protect us and the global population. That's why it went so fast. But all the appropriate clinical trials and all the other things that are needed were done. The emergency use authorization is a word I see all the time, because all the new cancer drugs go through an emergency use authorization. If you see a benefit and you've done the initial basic clinical trials, it will get approval. And then you do, the trials still continue after the drugs are approved, phase 4 trials to look for side effects. Every drug that we use have side effects. Some people are going to be impacted. But if you look at the millions of people that have had the vaccine, you understand that all of those things that were true early on, we now have science to say that that's not the case. We're able to stop the misinformation, but yet there are still people that will not get vaccinated. And it's no longer a question about my personal choice. It's about life and death for people. And we have tons of mandates. People talk about the job mandates. We have tons of mandates in our lives that are there that deal with public safety. You're not supposed to drive without insurance because you might hurt someone, kill someone, and the people lose that person, and they may not have insurance, and so your insurance is supposed to cover. We are required to get vaccinated. If you're going into the medical profession, you're going to get a TB test every year. You're going to get the flu vaccine unless you have a good reason not to. You're going to have some things you have to do. If you work at a steel mill or some kind of factory, you're going to have to go in and have your steel toe boots. You're going to have to get your drug test done. There are tons of mandates for jobs. And so that protects you and also protect the public. So we have those things that are present there. So that should take care of those kind of things. And then you're right, you have a public choice. And one of the things I remind people is that God gives us free will as well. He can make us love him and worship him like we're supposed to, but he gives us free will. But he also tells us there are consequences to the decision we make. So if you decide that you don't want to get vaccinated, that's your choice. But that means you only get to decide for your life. You don't get to decide for my life and my child's life, my mother's life, or that other patient's life who's in the hospital, or the other patient who's having a heart attack and I have no bed to put him in because you decided not to get vaccinated. It's not that, people have made it a political issue, and it's not. It's about life and death for people. My life, your family's life. So if you want to make a decision not to get vaccinated, that is your choice. But the consequences should be that I'm going to stay home and not expose other people to something that could kill them. You have a right to make that choice. You don't have a right to put my life in jeopardy or others' people. So if you want to make that choice, be bold enough to deal with the consequences of it. So we want to be understanding of normal, logical hesitancy. I understand that. But some of the stuff that people are refusing, they're putting in a microchip, they're going to follow me and all of that. We have to deal with that with science. And when people talk about the fact that they're worry about, I'm worried what's going to happen 5-10 years down the line. If you look at it, when we first got the vaccine, the people who were dying the most were those 65 and older. The first people to get the vaccine were who? Those 65 and older. Guess what? Those 65 and older are not the people that are crowding up the emergency rooms, the hospitals, being put on vents and dying. It's those who are 25 to 45. Those are the main people we see in the hospital now. It's not those who got vaccinated, because over 85% of people 65 and older have been vaccinated. So they're not the ones that's taking up the space. When we were at the height at Piedmont of our COVID numbers, 98% of the people who were in our ICU and in our hospital with COVID were unvaccinated. So it's not the vaccinated that are. So when people say the vaccine is not working, the vaccine is working, because the people who are coming in, the people who are getting put on the vent, the people who are dying are those who are unvaccinated. So it's working. So we have to use the science to counteract that. And, as an African-American, I hear people talk about the Tuskegee, quote unquote, Tuskegee experiment, which really wasn't the Tuskegee experiment. It was a government experiment. But you can't use that, because those men were seeking help for a medical condition. They just were giving the wrong information of what the right treatment was. So unless you're seeking the treatment, you can't even say that you're comparing it to the Tuskegee. You have to know your history. That has nothing to do. It is not the same thing. So you can't compare it. You can't compare it because it's not the same thing. Those men went looking for medical help, and they just were giving the wrong information about what the treatment was. The treatment was withheld from them. So I understand a healthy skepticism about our government, all of those things. But when you look at the numbers in our communities, if you look at these numbers, I'm going to share this with you for COVID for Coweta County. So this is the COVID. Can you guys see the screen? Are you all able to see the screen?
Yes, ma'am, we see it.
Okay. So if you look at the COVID numbers, this is back up in June in Coweta County. Look at this. There was hardly nothing. I mean, this is Georgia in general. There was hardly, a little bit going on. We had finished our third wave there, and look what has happened since then. We reached our highest number, not the first wave, not the second wave, not the third wave, the fourth wave. We were getting 18,000 people diagnosed a day. So in Coweta County, this is the data from the most recent from this afternoon. When you look at the confirmed number of cases, 20,000 people, 340 people that have died. The numbers at the bottom, 25 new cases in the last 24 hours, 6 new deaths in the last 24 hours. So the numbers are going down, definitely. But when you look at the number of people that have been vaccinated in Coweta, I think I'm pronouncing it wrong. I'm still learning. We look at the number of people that have been vaccinated. Less than 40% of individuals have been fully vaccinated in Coweta County. Less than 40%. People talk about how are we going to get out of this pandemic? The only way we can find our way out of this is through vaccination. People talk about herd immunity, and herd immunity means the number of people who have circulating antibodies, would that be from vaccination or actually having the disease. It used to be that it was predicted that if we got 70%, but that was before Delta came in. Delta virus changed the landscape of what we're dealing with because it is has a mutation in one of those spike proteins, and the spike protein is a protein that allows the virus to attach to your normal cells. A virus can't exist outside of taking over your cell DNA machinery. So Delta has a mutation there. We also know that Delta is more infective because with the original Alpha and Beta variant, we knew that it was only about 0.8 days before people started having symptoms. Therefore, then we would say if one person got diagnosed, we knew that 10 people in our community also were walking around, maybe asymptomatic with the virus. Delta now can sit around for 2 days before that person started having symptoms, which means now we know if we have one Delta, there's 20 to 30 people in our community. That's why the numbers went so high this time, is because it's more contagious. And we know it's also more deadly. More people are ending up. Young people who have no comorbid condition are dying of the disease. And what's so sad is that we see them come into the hospital and they're, on all this oxygen. One of the worst ways to be sick and pass away is to feel like you can't get enough air, to feel like no matter if we're giving you 100% oxygen, you feel like you are starving for air. And that's what we were seeing on a regular basis. It has decreased now, but still seeing on a regular basis. That is so hard to see. And these young people, because now it's not older people, it's these young people that are coming in and saying, can you give me the vaccine right now? Before we're putting them on the vent, because most time when they go on the vent, they are not coming off. It's sad to see because people won't get vaccinated. Not just doing it for yourself, but doing it for other people. But we're seeing now our young people are dying. So it takes us, the older people who know better, who've been through it, our older people who got vaccinated, to push this message. So that's the end of my presentation today. Sorry we took so long, but I hope the information was helpful for you all.
Amazing. Amazing. Loved it. It was great. Lots of good information. And what's so amazing, about you and the other two presenters is that you mentioned something to me. I spoke to Dr. Dean Combe about paying her, and she said it was her ministry. And so I know it's the ministry of the Raislers and the ministry of Edith as well. And what a wonderful ministry that you have. I thank you for the COVID information because even though I believe in natural remedies, I spoke with the pastor about this, and he was saying, our church, a Seventh-day Adventist church, we do believe in the vaccine. I believe the majority of our church has been fully vaccinated. Me being in the healthcare profession as an anesthetist, I'm looking for the booster as well. And I talked to Sister Raisler about COVID like a while ago. I think they had mentioned some remedies about that, and that's I believe that's something that I should be. In fact, I'm using some of the things that she sent me, the oils and stuff to put that oil on my feet and all that stuff. I bought some of that stuff from her, but for me, I think it's another layer. I want the layers. I want the social distancing. I want the mask on your face. I want my vaccine. I want my oils from the Raislers. You see what I'm saying? I want the layers of things. To me, there is nothing, if there's something that can help prevent and stop this disease, let's shut it down. Whatever we can do to shut it down, let's shut it down. So I just want to thank each one of you. And we're going to end up having to close this. I know I'm surprised that we haven't been shut off yet, Pastor. I know our Zoom time has probably left. So I'm just grateful that we're still live. I just want to tell from the Sister Raisler's presentation, we did have a winner. Let me give the number of that winner. The phone number of that winner is 4173. That was the last 4 digits of that winner, and you will receive your text me your way of payment. And then real quick, because I know we're getting ready to get shut off, and I got to turn this over to the pastor because he needs to share the program that's coming up for the next 2 weeks. He needs to tell you guys about this exciting program. But real quick, the question that I have for you, for Dr. Dean Combe, is that she mentioned, as I introduced to her, we talked about the reason why she went into oncology. And one of the very, very sad reasons she went into is that her brother was diagnosed with cancer. I need you to text me the type of cancer that her brother had. And in addition to texting me that, you have to tell me, she talked about a certain number of minutes that we need to exercise each week. I need for you to tell me, I forgot to, hold on. Okay, there we go. I need you to tell me the number of minutes that you need to exercise each week. And I really wanted to get into some deeper questions that she had, like what age you should have all your different screenings and stuff like that. But I want to make this easy for you, just so you were listening a little bit. So I need to know those 2 answers: the type of cancer her brother had and the number of minutes that you have to exercise each week. Pastor, I got to turn it over to you. Oh, and the winner for this section will be offline. I will text you if you win. So you won't find out the winner for that one. Okay, go ahead, Pastor. Thank you, presenters. Love you guys. Love you.
All right, I'm going to ask Dr. Dean if you would take down your presentation, please. I'm making you co-host again, so you could do that. Okay, there you go. Thank you so much. I enjoyed tremendously all of the presenters here this evening. Thank you all so very much for coming. We value your time. Unfortunately, we have to go now because we do have a fall revival that begins in just about an hour and 3 minutes. We'd like to invite all of our viewers to stay right where you are. We're going to stream via these same platforms, not the same link, but stay on the YouTube channel, stay on the Facebook page, and you're going to see us coming right back within the space of an hour. Thank you so much, ladies. Thank you so much, Laura. This was a great program. It was well-rounded. It was very informative, and it reminded us of some things, basic things that all of us are supposed to be doing. And we're so grateful for the reminder here this evening. We look forward to seeing you again soon. And Laura, you do have something you need to say? Yeah,
real quick, I just want to let everyone that's listening know, and we'll get to Dr. Dean that everyone, the information, I was not able to flash your information as much as I wanted to throughout your presentation, but you all can contact the Noonan Church. If you want to reach any of these presenters and reach out to them and use their services, contact us, okay? Contact the Noonan Church, Noonan First Church. Someone there, someone there, contact us and we can get you in contact with these presenters, okay? Go ahead, Dr. Dean.
All right.
I just wanted to say thank Piedmont Healthcare for bringing me to Noonan, because that was a struggle and I had to leave my family, but I really felt that was the place where he wanted me to minister to the community there. So I want to thank Piedmont Healthcare and Piedmont Noonan Hospital. So I hope to see you guys there.
And we thank you for coming. We thank you. We're just 1 mile from I'm telling you now, we're 1 mile, literally one exact mile to our driveway from that hospital. All right. So we'll be seeing you. Absolutely.
All right.
All right. Great. Thank you so much, everybody. We're signing off now. God bless you all. We'll be back in the space of 1 hour. Thank you, Laura. Great program this evening. Amen.